presents us with different challenges. And at some point, you even wonder, do I really deserve this? But then, such is life. There's not much we can do about it. But one thing that I'm sure and I'm certain that we can do about it is that we can always learn and we can always think of how do I move from this step to the next one. So this is JHEART CLINIC SESSION and I am Jacob. Welcome. Today we are faced with another really nice and interesting story that we are going to listen to, and we are also going to learn more, and I'm so sure that you are also going to be inspired. We are here in Milonge, area 14, and we are visiting Atuweni, Agbermoji. She has a story to tell. So be there as we explore this journey with Atuweni. Welcome to JHEART CLINIC SESSION. And there are a lot of issues, a lot of stories. People are inspired. They're already getting ready to see it. What are we going to hear today? But the very first question that I want to open this program with is to do with how does it feel to be divorced?
I will start by saying that nobody gets married wanting to get divorced. Everyone gets married and hopes and prays that their marriage will last. After all, when we make our vows, we say till death do us part.
Yes.
So that is what everyone has in mind. So because of that, being divorced brings out lots of emotions. It brings out a lot of hurt, a lot of anger. You're disappointed at yourself. You're angry with yourself because the question you ask is, what did I do right? Or why did this happen to me? Why did this other person do to me? So there is a lot of anger to deal with, a lot of disappointment, a lot of frustration, and just a lot of questions to ask yourself as to why.
Alright, so there are women, men who have gone through this patch, of which one would say that is pleasant. Definitely, as you said, that the emotions that are always attached to it. But then, come to think of it, what are the reasons why people would say, I think we cannot go on this journey together?
Well, Jacob, it would not be easy for me to say these are the reasons. I think what I would say is that for someone to get to that point, they will have considered all the pros and cons, and they would have decided to say, where I am concerned with this particular situation I'm facing, it is not going to be possible for me to continue. So I for instance, in a situation of abuse, for instance, as a woman, some of the things you'll be thinking of is, what if this person kills you? Okay, that's something you can think of. Or alternatively, what if I get so angry one day I am the one that kills this person? Because that's what abuse can do to you. Yet another thought is, if you have children, your question as a mother would be, what am I telling my daughters about abuse and marriage? And then what am I telling my sons about how they should treat women? So these are some questions that can lead one to a point of deciding to say, for instance, in the case of abuse, to say, is this something that I want to live with? Is this something that I should go on with? I know one issue people come up with is, but the Bible says God hates divorce.
Yes.
And I know, yes, the Bible does. I'm a believer. I believe I am a born-again Christian. And I believe that, yes, God does hate divorce. But at the same time, God did not create us to be bullied and to be abused by the person that you're married to. And at the same time, God allowed divorce because of the hardness of heart of man. And at the end of the day, God will be the one that judges the person that either stays in the marriage and is abused, or is facing whatever difficulties, even if it's a cheating spouse, for instance, or the person who decides to say enough is enough and I have stepped out. So I think in our culture, we have a problem with that particular aspect. There are so many women or so many men that ask themselves those questions. And ultimately, some say, okay, I'll live with it. but usually it's the fear of the judgment of the
Community.
And because we are a very faith-based society, it's usually the faith basis that makes us say, I will carry on because I don't want people to talk about me, or I'm afraid I don't know what this means about my relationship with God.
Jabula. China so chimachitisa kuti mwina as you've rightly put it kuti tazomaka kuti umachangana kuti ineyo anthu mwina mdelemende ukala adzingona modali. Once kono anthuzo on the other hand amamona munthu oti maybe anapeza kumuna banja yake linata amamanga ndi chinthu china chake akona kuti munthu ngati anthu munaona akuzimangana bali munthu anena kuti mwina what's zina zimene zilipo mu banja mwina lasokonekera.
Ndizoona njengokuti munthu banja likakhulupirira lasokonekera community yathu ndiyo timayang'ana ndithu ndi maso ena ake umaona ngati kuti muna munthu ndolephera ndiwochimwa angapanga kwanji zimene zitikakhala zimayifendeti manena kuti ndisanamve mwambo sanabilire
ndouma
mtima timauzana kuti kapilire eti ndeti manena kuti munthu indosabilira amamuyang'ana munthu uchandi zinthu zizabira. Chilungamo change ndichoti zikachitika zimene zija anthu ambiri samafuna kucheza nawo, safuna kukhala nawo pafupi. Ndekuti mwina azinzako onali nawo tali pabanja mona ngati uyu mwina ali ndi vuto azimunawo saziona ngati uyu andiphunzitsira mkazi wanga khalidwe liti lomwe usiye kucheza naye mwaona. Komanso iwenso pawekha umadziwa chifukwa cha mmene community yathu ili timadziwa wekha paya kuti apa ndingozikatula apa anga ndione ngati ndikuya ndine oyambitsa zinthu kapena ndili ndi vuto. Koma chilungamo chake ndichokuti anthu akufunika kuti anthu oti zavuta choncho kuti mwina ali process yopanga kuti banja lithe ololatha kumene azaona ndithu ndi chikondi. Waona ndi chikondi kwake chomwe ndikutanthauza ndiyoti kumvetsetsa kuti izi zizachitika sichinali cholinga sichinali chofuna palibe yemwe amakhala kumafuna kuti zinthu zimenezo zichitika. Koma zikachitika zachitika ndiye munthu kuti timthandize bwanji timpempherere tisapite ndikukamuuza kuti kodi chifukwa chani banja lako linatha ayambe kufotokoza pamene pacha ndiye muyambe kutenga mbali kuti ine ndi mbali yako kapena ndi mbali ya mwamuna wako kaya mkazi wako zimene zithandiza china china.
Kuti Bible manena zokhululuka.
Kodi Bible manena zokhululuka iwe siwe munthu wokhululuka kapena sumapemphera mokwanira kuphiri unapita kangati kokapemphera kuti banja lako lisathe. Zinthu ngati zimene zimamuthandiza. Tsono munthu akamamva zimene zichamayamba nokumatana nomazivatula kuti kuli bwino ndisamve zimenezo ndione kuti kodi moyo wanga ndipita nawo bwanji patsogolo. Pamene mutati mukhale naye pafupi munthu uja anthu ena oti muli mabanja mwina muthaso kuphunzira ziwiri zitatu kuti inenso patsogolo ndisazalolere izi kuchitika pa moyo wanga pa banja panga kapena mwina ti inenso banja langa ndizipemphera mwa mtundu wakuti pano pasi ndikuona mavuto amene wakoma ndionetsetsa kuti ndisadzatane ndisazaone zimenezo. Ndiye pamafunika ndithu kukhala kumvetsetsa. Chomwe ndimaoneni ndichokuti tilibe support system ya anthu kuti mabanja awo anatha timangowasiya kuti basi tili ndi support system ya zinthu zambiri anthu amapanga ukwati tili ndi support system. Anthu aja akakhala kuti zinthu banja likusokonekera machalichi ambiri makhala counseling komano zikafika pachepo kuti divorce yachitika yatha mwalo mokuti anthu ajati atenge tachite embrace tathandize kuti kodi sipanono moyo wawo asuthe bwanji timangosiya kuti basi zachitika tingozisiya tiziziona kuti zikhala bwanji. Ena ndithu amatofika pompangitsa munthu kuti akumpanga excommunicate kundula mu mpingo kuti chifukwa chani wakapanga divorce basi takudula mu mpingo ndithu mukutonongera mbiri.
Ndiye pamakhalabe zinthu zambiri zonena kuti tikamalisawo moyo pena ndithu makhabe kuphunzira pena ukuona kuti I think akufuna kuchita izi ndizi. Komano should we say that divorce is necessary?
That is a very difficult question to answer. I will say that there are other mechanisms that should be in place before the divorce happens. For example, I'll give you an example. In my mind, I think separation is a very good tool, and it is not adequately used. It is not used in a structured manner. So, for instance, if a woman is being abused, kumenyedwa mpaka na mchipatala achechi ndikuziwa. I would think that church or community members or achibala asibala bamusindulira kuti yaya anthu inuyo muphana khala ndi separation iwe mamuna ukufunika counseling mkazi sitimapanga choncho iwenso mkazi ukufunika yako. That separation might actually end up helping them heal. Koma inawa community timakhala ndokumanya kuti aposa manena chana wana kuti ife sitimabwera zathetsa banja leo mati wamenyedwa awa wanchipatala wabwerako bola zipyera balibe abuza kuti basa khululukira nani amakufusa nawandindani ana anda amuna nanga inawandindani ana akazana basi kukhululukira nani zikhala. We are not sorting out anything. So there are tools that can be used by both the families and community leaders to help bring people together. Chifukwa kaba separation in JHEART can't how you dare something is them mulimu kuti kodi ineyo chifukwa chani ndikupanga isi. What help can I receive? Koma just bringing us together in the name of kuti situfuna evangelity is not helpful. So it will be hard for me to say kuti divorce is necessary. It is the last option that a person has, and it should be indeed the last option. But there should be ways to try and resolve the deeper issues that are there, and those mechanisms should be used.
As my kauli kawina now the hombi the divorce as mamonenga kuti amakanga kuti basa tinaizi tikono kuti ngosebula chapter kina ya buku ya bukulembe zimakhala ndifaja
zimakhala choncho ndikuona ngati chifukwa chokuti society yathu oningoti by nature azimaindomwa machita nature relationships ndamina machita grow family, holding the family together. Ndiye banja lijana hakakwatira even pokango kwati ama nandira manzambi ndani pakati pa mamuna ndinka sim ndinkasi. You understand? So akamara banja lija the level of responsibility makala yosiyana. Ukamara wa mama usinoteka bidire kwambiri ndinkasi. De akarwa banja mchezikamba kulapika, it is expected kuti otapemphere otabilire akale ndani mkazi azingomuvisa mamuna uja ama ne akuti mamuna ndi mwana si choncho. Lezo sezija zimapezeka kuti mkazi ujana akunyamula chibebe chinene chicha kuti aineyo ngamene ndikuyenera kuti banja ili ngati litaende zonse zili m'manja mwa ndani mwaine pamene banja lija malowa as partners 50-50 koma udindo ambiri zinthu zikayamba kulapika zikuyikidwa kwa wakazi amuna anu mapempherera koma mayi amuna anu mabatsa chakudya amuna anu zambiri mbiri zoti akufunsa kuti kodi umapanga kapena iyayi. Ndiye banja lija likatha you feel more as a failure as a woman because of how society has placed so much responsibility on the woman. Kuti mkazi ndamena kuyenera kutani ukhala ndi ma responsibilities yourself. Even that is what makes it so hard for women, and even that is what makes it so hard for women to live. They end up kukhala mabattered wives. Mwangoti na mmeja mawali lino akaso chifukwa china zachitika sosina mwangopirira chifukwa chokuti society has allowed women to be that way, to be dressed up with so many responsibilities.
Ndeta zambiri swatu timaona muna zimezonda kuti za physical zonda kuti muna muntu wamenyedwa akone kuna ndibala kama namwe chikaka kama I think ndi padinga yake komano pamakala nkhani ndamene kawika uli simanenedwa imene muna sotero limafuta kuti lipezekedwe ifo ina kuti kama kuti muna muntu yekwe suku peza tendizolo olo muntu nasa kupanga identify uli wafunika tendizolo lero kukamba za maganizo sopano ndi nkhawa za mbongo depression stress zibana kuti sungati kuzola muna tozi ndi maso omuna uzuona kumali tena fika muna first stage inake ikulu kwambiri mbali ya kutendizolo hotel ngati nyango zote kuna ngani yote yachitika izikona kuti tizichita banje muna hapo utenga kuti muna ngati mbali ya mali maso mbali ya baba.
Motokutu you are going through divorce, Kavena, you have gone through divorce, indeed the mental mind, the mental element in Makabudi, you can go through depression, you can go through stress, and then with and family in my own case, some of the things that helped me, I did not meet a mental health practitioner. Okay? Not that I didn't go through periods of stress and depression. I remember issues like one morning, I'm getting ready for church, but for no reason, you know. And so you go through moments of doubt. But one thing I that helped me was realizing that Christ who is in me is greater than anything that is out there in the world. So having a strong faith basis helped me quite a lot, myself. Also, having a family that is supportive. My immediate family, my parents, my aunties and uncles were very supportive. They called me frequently. They called just to chat. They asked how I was doing. They asked how the children were doing. And that helped quite a lot. And then thirdly, I blocked out people from my life. So I just didn't talk about it. Masikwano, we make the mistake of using, for instance, social media. There were so many people that didn't even realize that I had been separated for 2 years and had gone through divorce. Many were quite surprised when I remarried, and they were like, when did this happen? When did you get, because I decided I would keep it quiet, I would keep it to myself. Because by doing that, I limited the number of people that could speak into my life or try to give me wisdom that was not wisdom, for instance. So that also helped me quite a lot. And then, of course, I also know that there were people in my church who helped me quite a lot. Just to stand by me and to pray with me and to just be nice. Just to talk to me, not to talk about why or how, but just to hold things together, to just make sure that they know that they are still your friend, they are still by your side. Yeah, but then again, that could also have the other influences that help me stand strong. It's maybe just my personality as well. I am by nature very determined, very focused. So I knew that I have to get through this. Whether I want to or not, I have to get through it. So for other women, I would really think that all the aspects I've mentioned, plus even getting help, mental health care is not something that is embarrassing. If you're going through something like that, or even for men, and I think for men it would probably be even worse. And so if you're going through that, that is an option that you can look to say, I need help, I need some counseling, I need some therapy, just to help me go through this path.
So there's this question, or this saying, that most people, or most men say, when it comes to issues to do with relationships, they say that career women are really difficult to handle. Because either they have money, or they have brains, or they have certain status in life. And they say that most of the times it adds to the issue of divorce. How true is that?
I don't think that is true. I think there are several issues. In the past, like I would say my mom's generation, most of the women, yes, they had some careers, but the majority did not. And so they did not have a means of looking after themselves. Some may not have found themselves to be equal to their husbands. So it becomes more difficult to have a say. Now, our generation, we've been taught more about who we are. We are more self-sufficient. We have seen, and some might even have experienced things in their own families, their own fathers, and they question that, why would my father do that, So now when they grow up, they say, I am not going to take that nonsense from anyone. It's not what I've signed up for. They want a marriage, they want a partnership, but they don't want to be abused. So it is more about women now being a little more enlightened, more self-sufficient, and having a voice. I think it is wrong to say that it is women who are educated, because there are several women who have come to me knowing that I'm divorced, who are well educated, but when you ask them, some have been divorced have been separated 4 or 5 years, but they can't take the final step to say, let me do the divorce, because a separation for 4 or 5 years is as good as a divorce, if you ask me. Yes. They can't. So it's more about, how does the woman recognize herself? What is her self-worth? Does she feel that she's worthy in herself, and that anything that happens that undermines her self-worth is not acceptable? And then on the other hand, I've met women, there's one particular woman who I did just as a JC certificate, but when push became to shove, she decided, no questions asked, went on her own and processed the divorce and done. And when she told me, I was quite impressed. So you see, here is a woman who has almost no education, with a JC certificate, but is able to take that stand. And another woman who is fully educated with a master's but cannot take that final decision. So it has nothing to really do with the status of education or how much money one is making, but more to do with how a person feels. Now, in terms of the dynamics in the relationship, if you ask me, again, it comes down to the fact that I think in our society, and this is a very personal opinion, we need to do more to teach our sons to be more responsible, to teach them what it means to be a man. As I said before, when people are getting married, it is the woman that receives more advice than the man. What are we saying about that marriage when we are going in, if more advice is given to the woman than the man? In our homes, not many homes will you see boys being asked to do the daily household work. Many boys grow up not seeing their father. Their father spends time out with friends. They don't see him doing the manly job that a man is supposed to do. Many men believe that as long as they are providing financially for the family, that's enough. They shouldn't be asked any questions. So that, for many women, they find is not sufficient. So when they begin to push back, it becomes a problem. Or when the woman, because she sees that there is a gap and feels that gap in the family, the man feels undermined, forgetting that he himself did not take up that responsibility as a man. And as such, he has created a gap where the woman has come to feed him, and there is a problem. So that is why even when divorce happens, there are so many single mothers who have managed single-handedly to raise their children and to raise them well. It's because even while they were married, they probably did a lot more of the mother-father part because the husband was absent. They were absent fathers. So when the divorce happens, it's not too much work to actually continue carrying that load. So that's I think that would be my opinion on that.
So there is a woman, there is a man. What do you mean? I lose munyango zoti akumatsifusa mafuso. Ndi bit au kabla ndi video kono relationship is not there. Mina kuzuzana kufune popo abuse wo kumenyana ndisina zambizo ndi zikuchitika. Ono ndi munthu nda kuti one akukhala muna ndinka akuti muna ndikapitoko anthu akula zotero ndikapitoko anthu akula andi akula zotero kwa munthu nda kuti is gone through rough patch in the first place kuti trouble marriage ndi munthu unaona kuti muna wangu lose kumene person ya kunebi wangu panga divorce kumene kwa anthu awiri awawa kuti wose munthu alindinka kumaso ndi mafusa mpiri odzangana pawo kakumaso anthu ozungulira kuti azili chani munthu ane akuna kuti tizute motani kuti moyo wake usaonongeke.
Okay, kwa munthu yemwe yakudutsa muzinthu zovuta ndikumazifunsa kuti kodi ndipange bwanji, should I go with it or I shouldn't? Kumuthandiza kwake ineyo kwa anthu angapo mwakha kubwera kwa ine ndimangowafunsa kuti musazifunsa kuti kodi in 5-10 years time, when you look back at this situation, mukufuna this situation imeneyo izachite impact bwanji kwa munthu. What is it you want your life to be like 5 to 10 years from now? And see what the situation you want to be more. Is it going to get any better or worse? What the woman finance in 5 years time the situation when I remember your dating or cheating spouses, you body many situation in no matter 5 years. Mbona ngati mwana woma mufuna muzakale muzakhala ndizomwe zikuchiti nazi nangana ile maganizo wana akamakhala akamaona zimene amaganiza chani kodi panopa mwina ndamu na mungu akamafika mu 10-11 years aziganiza chani za situation hii nanga akamafika 15 years nanga 18 komanso inuyo ngadali mkazi makamaka ndikona kufunsa kuti panopa ndi inuyo zikupangikira ni wewe then kufunsa kuti kodi mwana wakazi akazakula ndikwati ndikusakhani wamuna wakupanga zomezi muzapanga asayambira koma ndiko ndizapha mamuna amene defu zomakhalukira kuti muzapha ine wanji mukanika kuti muchokere chingora kuti mwana ame akuphunzira zomwe ine ukulolerazo lero ukatero mwamusiya munthu uchaganize eka amakaganiza eka ndikuona kuti kodapanga chani. The truth is ndi divorce kutama banja ali nemwe angakukakamiza kapena kukukakira kuti panga imakhala a personal decision wakwalu wewa walindantima kuti leo apapa kumweza fika zinthu zizipapaka then there is no amount of talking. Ineyo kuti ndifike bonena kuti aya papa basi zandikwana unani kuti muna 2 years before akwathandwa kupamba kalika koma iwe chifatani koma iwe kodi bwanji kodi iwe sumaona kodi zambiri koma time when nati enough is enough khaso nechita sokuda kuti yakula ndani bali mpaka wapanga decide chocho mpaka wapanga kale zakuti mpaka alese kuyamba kulamba ndiye final decision imakhala ya iwe mungu kali nemwanga kubisa sikuti pamaso sanena kuti yakumanda pangachifukwa chankosa kuti kamena ndi akuti kamena makolo anga simakhala ndichuti ndiweka wakuti yemwe akudutsa panopa kuti zonse zapangika divorce kupangika. What I can say is there is life after divorce. It is not the end. You are a complete person even before you meet your spouse. Your spouse adds value because we are meant to be together. As women, we are meant to be helpmates. So when it happens, you have to grieve the loss. Because it is a real loss and it is painful. So allow yourself to go through the grieving process. Feel the anger, feel the hurt, feel the pain, and feel the disappointment with yourself. But get to a point where you say, damn it, this is a chitika now, how do I go on? Let people talk. They'll talk. You're not the first and the last to get divorced. There are so many. So, they'll talk, but life goes on. And it will help you because it doesn't mean that that's the end of it. You can live on your own or you can meet someone. By God's grace, it's not you can meet someone and again, you pick up your pieces. Do not give up on love because that's what we're meant to do. So you can always meet someone and you carry on with your life. Actually,
I wanted to ask a question. There's a saying, some people say that you only fall in love once. Is the statement true?
I don't think it's true because I've been divorced and been married and it's a beautiful thing to be in love and I'm in love with my husband on a daily basis. So I don't think that is true. I think God has given us a very big capacity to love and to love someone. Yeah.
Kugamba sana ntauza mbili na mimi nasoma namakaya kuti ntauza namakaya mna kifuayona na kuti wina mpanga decide kuti I think ineo bajangile sati faja anaanga. At the same time, eno sabanga kusadi kuti ineo ma discipline sazo jola kuyo kwa anaanga. Aba bandu wene kuti ndibese malwe na mpandende. Kugamba za ana mena kudusa mu family na kuti is going through divorce. Nyangu zawa zima kala zotani for them that in that situation here.
I think it will depend on age now, and it depends on how you want to handle it and how the divorce has come about. So that's why I said when you get to that point where you're deciding, you have made up your mind, you have an idea of how things are going to play out. For one of the things I would encourage Meme is be open with your children. Talk to them. Tell them, this is not an easy decision I have to make, but I've had to make it because of A, B, C, D. And I feel at this point I'm making the right decision for me and for you. In future, it might turn out it's a wrong decision. Your children might hate you. But the truth is, for anything in life, we are always taking a chance. There is nothing that anyone can say, this is foolproof. Because I know of children who have stayed in marriages where there is trouble, and later on they are not happy with what their parents did. Some children have literally said, hey, I would have rather my parents would have been happier apart. And yet there are some whose parents divorced, the parents do the very best to raise them, they see both parents separately, and later on they turn to one parent and say, why did you divorce? You should have stayed with our parent. So everything is really a chance. You don't know how it's going to turn out. You can only do what you think is best as guided by God and pray that it turns out well. But foremost, keep the communication lines open so that the children don't feel like you're making decisions without at least considering them or talking to them or making them understand. And you can talk to them, it doesn't matter what age they are. Use age-appropriate language. One of the things we are not good at as Malawians is communication, and we always think, if samuze mwana, even bagachitika mali, asaziwa disa muzabi. We keep things away from our children, and then we end up later on, most reactions come about because they cannot understand. It is harder to understand But in this case, talk to them. Find a way to talk to them that they will understand. They'll have lots of questions. Answer them. Answer them as best as you can. Yeah.
Okay, so some would be wondering, because what you're saying is really important, and I'm sure it's going to help a lot of people. Now, for the record, who is Atuweni Agbermoji?
Okay, so I am a Malawian. I born and bred in Malawi. I was born at JHEART, and I am a lawyer by profession. I am currently working with the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime. I am an advisor within that organization, and I am married to Kevas, and together we have 2 children. So I have been married and divorced twice, and so this is my 3rd marriage. My husband is also a divorcee, so we went to divorcees, and we've decided to make a life together. We've now been together for almost 6 years in marriage, and before that we dated for a year or so. So that's who we are, and that's who I am.
Nde kugamba za life kuja kupenda tu kubado kukula kufika pamene tu byankwana pano. There might have been situations in life that you've been maybe at your hardest or at your lowest. If there's one instance that you can always remember that made you maybe rethink of whatever you're doing, what would that be?
I think my happiest moment in life has been the coming of my children into my life, or becoming a mother. And I think that changed how I look at life and the decisions I make. My decision making now takes into consideration how it impacts and affects these 2 lives that God has decided to give me and to make me a steward of. So I think those were my 2 happiest moments. And I say the coming of my children into my life because my firstborn daughter is not a biological child, so I didn't carry her, at least not in my womb, but I carried her in my heart. And she's adopted. I adopted her I got her into my life when she was 7 days old, and finalized the adoption 2 years later when she was aged 2.5 or thereabouts. But my second-born child is biological. So the way they came into my life is, I think, what I hold as the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And I think I have seen God's goodness as a result of that, and it's the most precious moment. It's what I think drove me to the point of saying, if I have to get divorced to save these children's lives, then I'll do so. So every decision I make as a result of that. I could have raised them alone, I really could have. But even meeting someone and trusting my heart to someone else was a result of knowing that my children need a father figure. They need someone who will be a father to them. And my boy needs to be raised up knowing what a man should do, or what a man should be. So my decisions have been made based on his time.
You did, you've been kukala more like Muna Zwidi Manyazi.
It's very because we go in life and there are so many things that we fail at. So I can just say that there are quite a lot. It would be hard to pick one specific one.
But there should be one. There should be one specific. Like I think this one was intense.
Yes. I honestly can't speak of one specific one. I guess, unlike good things that happen in our lives, the bad things we want to push to the back of our mind. So I think if you had asked me in advance, I would have thought through and said, let me say this one.
Okay.
Yes.
But it has really been nice talking to you.
Yeah.
And what we always hope for is for a better life, because we don't need to suffer because of maybe what the society would think about us. But then they always, at the end of the day, you'll be the one to handle everything, process everything, maybe mentally, and to see how your life is going in every aspect of what we do. So in the meantime, as we come to the end of the program, we're talking of people who have gone through divorce, as you said, that they need some kind of help. here, would you say that you are open to give other people a chance that maybe you can talk to, so that they should maybe have their thoughts or whatever, like the baggage that they have, maybe empty, so they can have at least a free hand?
I am more than willing to do that. I feel that having gone through divorce myself, I mean, my coming to talk like I'm doing now is very difficult for me. Many people don't want to talk about such problems in their life. Being divorced, and in my case, being divorced twice, is not something that anyone would be proud of. So if you ask me about one of my failures, that is it. But I talk about it not because I'm talking about it with pride, but I talk about it because I know that every aspect of my life is something that has been allowed by God, so that I can use that situation to glorify Him. God is sovereign. It's not like He didn't know that I will go through divorce and it would happen twice. He knew that this was going to happen. But now, what is my response to that situation? And my response is to use my lifespan to make it my ministry, to make others survive, to make others know that they don't have to be treated in a certain way, that they can survive those hard times like I have. Our situations might be totally different, but they can survive. Not long ago, someone I know who I helped through the decision of making a divorce, going for a divorce. I mean, we talked to this woman maybe for a year before she finally did it. She said to me, we're talking about the stigma that divorce brings, and she said to me, but one thing I'm very grateful of, Asisi, was you prepared me. So I knew well in advance that when I make this decision, this is the reaction I should expect from my family, from the church. So it was not too hard. And I think that is the role that I need to play. That is the role that anyone who has gone through a difficult time should be able to play.
Issues of divorce, they're not supposed to be handled lightly. Emotional, and it's really something that it's tough at the time. But there are always reasons why people do what they have to do. So we're talking of making sure that you get the advice that you need, and you get the strength, and you also have to get the reassurance of who you are, that you are important, and no one is supposed to take that away from you. So every time, it's our wish that we have to be people who are always happy, smiling, not only by face, but even the heart has to be happy, because that's what we deserve. So if you are going through some tough time, you should know that there are other people that maybe have gone through it, and they can help you get through it as well. So this has been Jacob Jimlala, and today I was hosting Atuweni Agbermoji, and she shared her story, and really inspiring, and we've learned a lot. So every time I always say that you deserve that. Till next time, it's bye-bye.